Alright, we're back with part 2 of my Space Engineers Let's Play. And we are about to go do some mining. If we look at our assembler, we can see again what it is we need and why. In order to build the motors, computers, and displays that we'll need for our small storage container, we need nickel, cobalt, and silicon. So let's go mine those. Actually, first, let's pull out these construction components. Get a little more construction done on it. Alright, it's taking shape. Alright, and off to our mining asteroid for nickel, cobalt, and silicon. Silicon. Whichever you prefer. Alright. There we go. Silicon. Although I don't know if I'm going to be able to tunnel into... Ah, here we go. I think this is still silicon. I want to get a spot where I can tunnel in and not just pop out the other side. And if we check my inventory... Yes, silicon is the only thing I'm getting. Oh, and I accidentally came over here with the steel plates and metal grid still in my inventory. I should have emptied those out into my assembler, so now my inventory is already half full, which kind of sucks. Alright, that should be enough silicon. We don't really need a lot of any of these things, so that'll be our silicon. Nickel and cobalt are left. Oh wow, I've totally gotten spun around here. Alright, so which way did I think this is the exits. I think that, yeah, this is the correct direction. So still need cobalt and nickel. Ah, there's the cobalt. Oh, my inventory is already full. Oh, that sucks. Alright, let's head back. I did not see any nickel on my way in, which is slightly troubling, but not a huge issue. I'm sure there's some somewhere in this asteroid. And we head back down to our platform. I mean, traveling back and forth between the platform and the farther away asteroid really isn't that burdensome. So we go into our refinery and we dump off our ore. We can stop uranium refining. We now have plenty of uranium, so we can make sure we get the cobalt and silicon started. Our assembler is pulling in the cobalt that we need, so that's good. That's what we want to see. And what we can do is we can actually drop off these steel plates and metal grid into our assembler. It doesn't have a lot of storage space, but it has enough that we can use it temporarily. And we can pull out these construction components to help make a little extra room. So if we go over here, we see that the cobalt is now filling up, and we already have refined enough, it looks like. Yep, and that's it for that. That means we can go back to our refinery and put that at the end. Now let's put it before the uranium, and now the silicon can start refining. Which we don't need a lot of that either, and that's already being pulled over. So yeah, all we need now is a little bit of nickel, and we're all set. In the meantime, we can go ahead and put the last of these construction components in. Oh, and actually I just realized I will need another 5 construction components and 2 interior plates. We'll actually build some extra construction components. And some extra interior plates, just because these take so long to produce. I might as well have them producing ahead of time before I actually need them. We'll go ahead and grab these other components, though, and put them in place. Alright, and until we get the 2 motors and the 5 construction components, though, we're stuck. Alright, so back to our asteroid to look for nickel. And you see how little ore it actually was required for just a single component. Really, you don't need to do a ton of mining just to build small things like a small storage container. It's really only refineries, assemblers, and like when you're trying to build an entire ship that you really start to need a good amount of ore. So hopefully down at this end we've got some nickel. That's my hope. Come on, nickel. I know you want to be here and get mined by me. A lot of uranium in here. Alright, I did not see any nickel, and I don't see a ton of ore on the outside of this guy. But we'll run along the outside. The range on the ore detector on the drill is pretty short. Once I build a mining ship, there's an ore detector that's an actual separate component on there that has a much longer range. More uranium. I swear this entire asteroid is nothing but uranium. Just need some nickel. Starting to think it won't be here. We'll head through here once more, make sure we don't spot any nickel, and then we'll go ahead and find another asteroid. It's possible that the one that was close by actually had some. I don't remember seeing nickel when I was looking around, but I may have just forgotten about it. Alright, so where's the next closest asteroid? There's one. Let's go check this guy out. Oh, and I should have recharged. Yeah, let's actually stop at the platform real quick and recharge our suit's energy. We're down to 58%. Should be enough to go mine and get back, but definitely not something you want to play around with. And I do have the rather bad habit of forgetting to charge my suit, so whenever I do remember, I like to go ahead and take care of it. Alright, and on to the asteroid. Oh, alright, I've lost my position. Alright, so that's the one that we were at. And the other one should be up there, right in the shadow of this one. Let's see what type of asteroid it is. I think it's one of these like semi-hemispherical U-shaped asteroids, maybe. Saw a rather creative person use a rotor system and a station platform to create a really cool way to mine out these, this sort of shaped asteroid that was pretty cool. Alright, so this is a bunch of gold. I don't see anything that would be nickel. What's this? Silicon. Oh, some silver. Don't need that quite yet. I don't think I saw any silver at the other asteroid, so that is at least good to know where I can get some if need be, or when I eventually do need it. Wow, just no nickel on any of these. I don't think I've ever gone to like 3 different asteroids and failed to find what I was looking for. I should double check the asteroid at the station. Maybe it did have nickel. Yeah, I definitely don't remember there being any. But I only have 4 asteroids. I can't believe that only one of them is going to have nickel. It's not that uncommon in ore. I don't think any of the ores are specifically uncommon in relation to each other. Iron is specifically very common. That's uranium, yeah. There we go. Nickel. Tasty, tasty nickel. Oh, the nickel looks a lot like iron. I didn't realize that. I swear, I think they keep changing these colors on me, because I don't remember the nickel looking so iron-like. And as long as we're over here, and we do have only limited sources of nickel, I'll probably completely fill my inventory with it. I mean, there's a lot here, so I'm not limited in that sense, but more that when I'm making trips to go mining, I'm probably going to go to the other asteroid, just had so many different ores that were so accessible. And that filled my inventory pretty quick. Alright, and the platform is back this direction. So yeah, I only had to travel a single kilometer to get to, like, any of these asteroids, so you don't really have to go that far. One of the reasons I set the world limit to 50k. As far as performance goes, I can pull that up in case anyone's curious. The frame rate is not capped in Space Engineers, which I really like. Games that cap the frame at 60 frames a second are just dumb. More frames are better. I mean, they're to a limit, of course, but there is a perceptible difference of 60 frames per second and more than 60 frames a second, especially since sometimes frames aren't rendered exactly 1/60th of a second apart. So, intentionally capping frames at 60 a second just seems dumb to me. So yeah, this is typically what I've seen is between 150 to 130 frames a second when I'm recording. It is very much GPU bound. My CPU usually doesn't struggle too much on it, but the GPU is what will be your cap. Alright, so that is all that we need for ore. We now have all of the nickel for all of our production. Oh, but we don't have iron. We have run out of iron. So we will go back to disassembling, and let's disassemble some more steel plates. But yeah, limiting the world size I found to help keep frame rates up. The max objects in space, keeping that down also can help with frame rates. Limiting the number of asteroids also helps. So all the things that you would expect, all those performance-based game options really can have an impact. Alright, so now we go to production. Let's turn back on assembling. We get our last motor, go to our inventory. I think we needed 5 more construction components. To move a limited number of items, you can hold right-click instead of left-click to drag an item over, and then it'll ask you exactly how many you want to move. Or you can control-click and shift-click to move 10 or 100 items at a time, respectively. Alright, and that should be everything we need. So now all of our components are in here, but we do have to keep welding to get the health of the item all the way up to 100%. And I now have a small cargo container. Now, because all of these items are directly connected to each other, I don't need to deal with the conveyor system. I could build a cargo container just over there, but at that point I'd have to manually go up to it to put anything in or out of it. As long as the items are all connected in a network, I can drag things from, say, my assembler into my small cargo container directly. I don't have to move in my inventory and then go over to the other item and then move them back or something. I can just move things directly. Whereas, say, my reactor, I can't pull the fuel out. I can't put this fuel even back into the refinery, into the ingot section, which would be valid, because it's not connected on the same network. So I have that limitation, and then vice versa. I can't go that direction with it. What I can do is pull out all of that uranium, though, and go put it inside of my reactor. Small reactor. The large reactors really are very large and require a huge amount of resources to build. We can also see the storage difference, though. Even just this small cargo container, when it's a station-sized small cargo container, holds 46,000 liters, as opposed to my assembler, I would have been limited to just 3,000 liters, which would have been very limiting. Alright, so that's all we needed, really truly needed to get done prior to building our mining ship, and we actually could get started with our mining ship. But first, let's grind away some more station, and this is gonna be boring. Yeah, so I just want to get some more steel plate. You saw how little iron I had. I think grinding down these steel plates and unrefining them might be a little quicker to get some quick iron instead of going and just mining it traditionally. Although iron does refine very quickly is a nice thing. And I'm also just going to need a lot of steel plates. Not a lot of steel plates, but a fair amount of steel plates for this construction. Yeah, and I'll just stop after this row, actually. I'm not going to do too many. Then I will recharge my energy, and I'm going to get started on building this mining ship. Something else I can do is actually start to queue up some of the different parts that I'm going to need for my ship, and that'll give me an idea of other things I might need to mine. I'm probably going to run short on a few resources, and there's probably a couple of things I actually haven't mined. I won't need magnesium. We're not going to put any weapons on this ship, and that's pretty much all magnesium is used for. I think I've mined a little bit of pretty much everything else. Ah, silver. I have not mined any silver, so I'll probably have to go back and mine some silver at some point. Which I do remember seeing some at the... What's essentially the third asteroid in the game, we'll call it. The second one I went to, other than the platform one, is where I got the nickel, had some silver that was easy to access. Alright, so let's go over here. Go over to our assembler, and let's queue up. I'm going to need a lot of engine thruster components for my various thrusters. Oh, and I have not mined any platinum either. So let's see, I'm going to probably have at least 3 thrusters in each direction, so in 5 of the directions at least. So there'll be 15, and then probably 20 with like maybe another 5 in the back. I'm going to put a lot of engines on this, probably more than are truly necessary. So that lets us realize we are short on iron already just with our thruster components. Cobalt, we're going to need a lot more. Platinum, we're going to need a lot more. Gold, we're actually good for just that one component, though. I'm probably going to have... Oops, that's too many. 4 reactors. I'm going to need at least 2 motors. And... that's actually about it. That should be good for now. Let's see, do we have some... I only got 15 construction components. Those take a while. So let's queue up like another 20 construction components and get those started. But that lets us realize, yeah, we're short of basically everything. So let's also take a look at our refinery and see what it's working on. Alright, we're working on nickel. Got a decent amount of silicon. Are we still short of nickel? No, nickel we only need 10. Alright, so let's also start moving some stuff over into our assembler from here. So we can move some nickel over. Move some silicon over. Nope, that's actually it for what's been refined. Alright, so now let's go back to the production. Alright, we're in a little better shape. We now have all of the nickel that we need. Still need more... Oh, I guess I didn't queue up any computers, so that'll be... We got plenty of silicon for those. We will need some gravel for the reactor components. I forgot about that. So gravel is like the one thing that you actually do need regular stone for. So we'll pick up the stone, put it in the refinery, and that'll make us our gravel. And let's go ahead and drop off our steel plates into our small cargo container. So now we have a decent amount of steel plates as well. Alright, so what did we need? Let's go to look at the assembler again. Definitely cobalt and some silver. Let's go do cobalt first. It's a little third-person action. There's my mine and drill. Cobalt, I think, was pretty far... Oh, there's something I forgot to do that I said I was going to do, and I said I would forget to do, is my suit energy. So, back to the platform. This is an example of my energy got really low. I could just turn off my inertial dampeners, and right now I'm using almost no energy. Oh, well, let's turn them back on so I don't slam into the station. And I could have just sort of drifted onto the platform. So we use our little medical terminal. Recharge the suit energy up to 100. This is something I thought would be a cool feature. Different types of suits inside of the game. So maybe a high energy capacity suit. Maybe a suit for each of the tools that makes them more efficient. So a more efficient mining drill suit, a grinding suit, maybe a combat suit that gives you more armor or health or something like that. I don't know, something I thought might be interesting. Cobalt, there we go. And where were we mining already? We already got mined some cobalt. Was it in here? Oh well, this will work. I don't think I mind very much of it. Yeah, so that would be interesting. Something else I'm hoping for is a little more depth in terms of, say, like technology progression, I wanna call it. So instead of just you have an assembler and from the assembler you can build everything, I think it would be interesting if the assembler needed access to some additional components, maybe, so that you couldn't build reactor components, maybe, from just a base assembler, that you needed to build a reactor manufacturing add-on for your assembler to be able to build them. Even if it was something that could be shared by multiple assemblers, that could be interesting. Or even if you mix it so that there were regular reactor components and advanced reactor components, and maybe you could build the basic ones, which are used for small reactors, but maybe you can't build a large reactor without some sort of, again, like add-on. So that there's some sort of like tiered progression of technology and construction, and not just, oh, I've got my assembler, so now I can build everything and anything I could possibly want. Just to take it further away from creative mode and more towards a survival, worked for it mode. Alright, we have filled up our inventory. And you can see again, I mean, I've tripled my inventory size. And still you saw how quickly I was able to fill up my inventory there. So, definitely important, or nice, to increase that inventory size to reduce the back and forth trips when you're mining by hand. Alright, so we go to our refinery, and we can just drop, looks like I got a little bit of uranium ore. And we can drop all this cobalt in here, and get that refining. Move our nickel into our assembler, and let's take a look. Alright, still need silver and platinum, though. Hey, looks like some of the components can get worked on. Nope. Alright, just one motor. Alright, let's go to our other asteroid and get the silver. Yeah, so I was going to start laying out my ship, but I think I'll get at least some of this mining done first. Alright, so I remember there being some silver over here. Didn't look like a huge patch, though, so hopefully I can find it pretty quickly here again. I think it was towards the outer sections. Like right over here, or possibly, yeah, I think it was like right over there, or right over there. I think that's silver. Yes. Alright, let's get in there. But yeah, as long as I know I'm going to need some of these things, I might as well get started. I don't think I've seen any platinum, though. Oh, I think the asteroid by my station, maybe. I think I might have seen some platinum there. Definitely want to get that refining as soon as you can. Platinum takes forever to refine. That getting just a single kilogram of platinum is a very time-consuming process. So it's easy to get a lot of ore, all the platinum ore you would ever need, but your refinery will just take forever turning that into something you can actually use. Alright, so we gather up the silver chunks. So the limit of, what is it, 256, I think, is the default. 250 or 256, the max objects in space. One of the main things that is going to limit is these sort of ore chunks that start floating around in-game. So that is important to keep in mind. So that if I'm mining over here and I leave this silver behind and I start mining a bunch of other places and generating other chunks other places, those are going to disappear once there's 256 things. Now, that's going to be far enough away in time that that's not a big concern of mine, but if you set that number too low, like, 30 or 50 or something, it can start to become an issue. Alright, so we go to our refinery, and we dump in our silver ore, and we can dump in this little bit of stone that we had and make sure we've got enough gravel for our assembler. And we pop it in there, and we take a look at our production tab, and we are still missing some silver. Oh, but we can start making some reactor components. Maybe our last motor. Yep, how about that? And what else do we still need? We're still going to need a lot of iron, so let's go ahead and start disassembling some steel plates. So actually we're going to have to put some more back in there. So let's grab like 50 steel plates out of our small cargo container, move them back into the assembler's output, and that'll let us go into here to disassemble them. Alright, so let's start building. Right over here should be a perfectly good spot. I want to do my construction somewhat close to my storage, just because I'm going to have to be running back and forth to it. So we push G. That'll bring up our toolbar config and building blocks. Let's go ahead and start selecting some building blocks, actually. We're going to need a light armor block. We're going to need a gyroscope. Definitely going to need some mining drills and a cockpit. Probably going to want some thrusters on there. Those will come later, though, so let's move that out, actually. Ooh, no, I know what we're going to need right away. Small conveyor and conveyor tube. Alright, this will be the start of our construction. Actually, let's also put the curved conveyor tube. This will be the start of our construction. And then to actually start a new ship, we have to use one of these 3 buttons. So we'll choose new small ship for our mining ship. And we will spin this around with the delete key. And plop it down. Oh, could not plop it down. In order to build it, we need a... You know what? I missed it. Small tube? You need interior plate. So let's go to our storage. I think I have some plate. Yeah, let's go ahead and grab that. Let's go ahead and grab like 20 steel plate and 10 construction components. These base items are necessary. Like, it's going to use one of each to like lay down a block. So we'll lay down our landing gear, and then we can see that used up 1 construction component and 1 steel plate. And then that's it. The rest of it we can just put in there later, and we can worry about our welding later. I can weld some of it now, so I can get it up to 13%, and then it's going to stop because it wants a large steel tube to continue, and that's fine for the time being. Also, I'm not going to be using the landing gear on my ship. The landing gear is purely here as a necessary thing to get started. And then I'm sort of going to just build up a little bit to put some elevation on here, and this is what I'm going to use to build my ship. Is going to be like on this structure, but all of this structure is going to go away. I'm not actually going to keep it after I really get started with the ship. It also does keep everything locked in place. So when the landing gear first gets placed down, it gets placed down locked, and you can't actually unlock it because it hasn't been completed, and you don't have a way to control it, and it's unpowered. So this is stuck here, and the ship is stuck here until the ship is completed. So this is our cockpit, and onto that we're going to attach, to start, 2 small blocks, and onto them is going to go our mining heads, which are already rotated correctly for us. We want the little door that you can sort of see on the right side, or it's basically right in the middle of the screen now. You can see a little door that was like right here on the side. We do want it on the side. I could rotate it and they'd be on the top and bottom. That's not what we want. So we put those there, then we build some blocks up. I think 2 should be enough. Hit 6. And now I might need another block. I'm going to need another block. So it's going to be 3 blocks high. That's going to be the structure to hold on to our drills. Alright, and then our conveyor tubes. I actually want to... Let me get these mining drills a little further along. I want you to be able to like visually see what it is that I'm doing here. Alright, so I need a bunch of steel plate and construction components. Alright, still gonna need more cobalt. Wow, I think I need a lot more cobalt. That's surprising. Do I have any in the refinery? Yes. Alright, so let's move the cobalt ore to priority. That's the nice thing about getting it started. Now I've got the things that I need, like, producing. Alright, so that'll let you see it. That's far enough along. So, the mining drills, as they're mining, instead of just throwing rocks into space, will actually suck up the ore into them, but they have a limited storage capacity. They can hold a lot. But it would take forever, or not forever, but an annoyingly long time to empty them out into a storage container or into my refinery after I was done mining. So instead we can use a conveyor system and a connector to actually connect my ship to my station and to the refinery to automatically unload my ship, which is really, really nice, and not something that always existed in Space Engineers. So that's what I'm sort of going to be showing you right now, is how I handle that. Alright, so we've got our 4 mining drills in place. This is sort of the business end of our mining ship that's going to just slam into the rock and mine it away. I separated them by 1 block right down the middle, which is fine. If I'm moving my ship around as I mine, I'm still going to be able to get right through the rock, no problem. But I can put a small conveyor there and there, right on those yellow spots, which are the doors. So that's where I could access the ore manually. I could just go up to here, click K, and access the ore out of the drill. Or these conveyors can pull it out automatically. Now I'm going to build a tube between the 2 conveyors there. And some tubes here. Oh, and time to go recharge. And basically what's going to happen is those conveyors and those tubes are going to carry the ore out of the 4 mining drills into a storage container, which will then be attached to a connector piece. At least that's how it's going to work in theory. Alright, so next we need a curved conveyor tube, I think. Actually, no, let's build our storage container. So the storage container is what all this is going to feed into. That way I can just really mine for a very long time. A small cargo container on a small ship is actually surprisingly tiny. So we're going to go with a medium cargo container. We don't need the cockpit one anymore because we've already built our cockpit. We're going to rotate this around, so that way the small door that the conveyor system will access is on top, and the large door that the connector will access is on the side. And I need interior plate to build this. Alright, let's go grab some interior plate. I should have some. Well, I should have some, but I don't. Won't need a lot. Alright, so same rotation, so the little door on the top, the big door on the side. And that'll put the small cargo container in place. Let's go ahead and weld it out a little bit. I want to make sure I see what I'm doing. That needs more interior plate. Alright, so now I can see the little door, and that's what I want to make sure I connect into my conveyor system. So I think that's going to be 1 straight tube, which needs more interior plate, of course. Alright, so like I said, should be 1 straight tube, and then a curved tube that'll feed into it. Rotate that the correct direction. Alright, so what'll happen is these 2 drills will feed into the conveyor tube block, which can access multiple directions, and the stuff can feed into it. That'll feed into the tube, which can only have the 2 connections on each end, into another tube, into another multi-directional block. So that's going to receive ore from the bottom and from the 2 sides, and then feed it out this direction through that length of tube into this storage container. Then on the side of the storage container, we will put and this is a new component. This was added into the game definitely within the last month. I want to say probably like the last 2 or 3 weeks. A ejector. right? No, a connector. Like I said, it's new, so I'm still figuring out some of this. Yes, this is what we wanted. Which component name was this again? This is a connector, so this is going to actually connect us to our station. So we rotate it around to put the matching big door, so the big door from the cargo container is going to touch the big door on the connector. And that did not line up correctly. So we can grind it away, get the components back. 7. There we go. Now they're lined up. Yeah, I had partly connected it onto there. Alright, so this is then going to pull the ore out of this cargo container. And this part of it is going to actually connect to another connector that's on the station. And we'll see that shortly. Alright. We're off to a good start. We have our cockpit, our storage, our conveyor system, and our mining drills. Now we need some reactors. We need to power all this stuff. We actually have something cool we can do here. We need to finish off our medium cargo container first, though. Wait, nope, that won't work. We're going to have to do a primer reactor. So yes, let's go ahead and get rid of this curved tube. And instead we're going to replace it with a small conveyor. Straight tube. Oop, and I need more interior plate. Of course I need more interior plate. That's all I've needed this entire time. Alright, still need more cobalt and platinum. Is more cobalt being refined? Alright, good. So I should eventually have enough cobalt. It's only going to be platinum holding me back. Alright. Where were we? Yes. Straight tube. Straight tube. And this will be a curved tube. And this will be a multi-directional conveyor tube, right? Yes, that will provide me 4 connectors. The 4 connectors will be for 4 small reactors. Small reactors on a small ship really are small, but this should be adequate for a mining ship. So the mining reactors, or the small reactors, only have a single door, which you can see right there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect that single door into this conveyor tube, and that is how I will get uranium into them. Oop, need construction component. Is by keeping the uranium in my cargo container, and then the reactors will automatically draw the uranium that they need from the cargo container, which is nice. Instead of having to separately refuel 4 separate reactors, they can just all pull their fuel right from a single cargo container. The only problem that we run into is they only have the one way to access them, and that one way is connected into a small, or onto the conveyor system. The conveyor system is non-functional until this ship is powered up. Well, how do you get the fuel then into the reactor? And the answer is you can't. I'm going to have to build a 5th reactor and just attach it randomly anywhere on the ship. That'll power up the ship and allow the other 4 reactors to draw their uranium, and then we can get rid of the 5th reactor. And then as long as we always keep at least some uranium in the ship, or power off the ship when it's not in use, we'll be fine, and we won't need that reactor ever again. The only other problem I just realized is I can no longer access the conveyor right there in order to weld it. So we are going to have to like knock off one of these reactors once it gets time to weld it, but we'll leave it there for now. And what we will add is our 2 gyroscopes. Could probably get away with a single gyroscope, but the more gyroscopes you have, the more maneuverable your ship is, and who doesn't like a maneuverable ship? So there is 1, there is 2. Alright, so now I have 2 gyroscopes on here. Gyroscopes affect how quickly, when you use your mouse to look, and you're in, like, say, the first-person view of a ship, it's the gyroscope that's causing that spinning motion. So, definitely nice to have more than is necessary. Alright, very good progress. Pretty much the only thing we still need... Oh, and this is an important thing to touch on. See where the top of that drill is and the bottom of that drill is? It's very important that our entire ship fit within that profile if we wanted to be able to dig a deep tunnel into an asteroid. So you can see how my ship's profile is very much matching and is slightly less than the profile of those drills. And then the same is true from a left-right perspective. Everything has to fit behind these drills. Alright, so let's continue. What we're gonna do is start putting some engines on here, because that's pretty much the only component we still need is, and I will call thrusters engines. They are thrusters, they are not engines. And everyone's gonna have to learn to deal with that, because I'm not changing my ways. Yes. So let's build our downward facing engines first. There we go. And I need large steel tubes to put down my engines. I'm going to need a lot of large steel tubes. Well, actually just one per engine, but a decent amount of engines. I thought I built 20 thruster components. Alright, so that means we're going to need 20 large steel tubes. At least. How are we on iron ingots? Alright, we are a little low. Alright, so while those produce, let's go ahead and just do some grinding. Now, you can also build ships with grinders and welders on them so that you can do your construction and deconstruction from a ship, and it can be very, very quick and very, very efficient, and eventually I will build ships for those. But for now, hand doing this is fine. And actually, I think we're at a good stopping point. So I'm going to do some grinding, and when I come back, we'll go ahead and do the engine placement on our mining ship. I appreciate you watching. Please comment. Let me know what you think of the design of my mining ship. Do you think it will work well? Do you think it will work poorly? Do you like my use of connectors and conveyors? Give me some feedback. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This series will definitely continue, so if you want to get those updates, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time.